Sage Mode is one of the coolest techniques ever. If Dojutsu in general was my #1 favorite technique pool in Naruto, then Sage Mode has to be my #2. To be frank, Sage Mode actually edges out most Dojutsu as well, specifically Toad Sage Mode. For me, the Sharingan, specifically the Mangekyo Sharingan, will always be #1, with Toad Sage Mode coming second. They're comparable to the Super Saiyan forms of Dragon Ball, but done in such a way that they don't totally destroy the scale. After all, every Super Saiyan form is many times more powerful than the last, with it stonewalling anything less than it. Dojutsu and Sage Mode have the same functions, serving as a new and impressive source of power that has become a defining factor in the series. But the difference between Dragon Ball's way of displaying new power and Naruto's way is that in Naruto, the scale is controlled much better. You don't get power cliffing, nor do you get new powers that make all other characters basically useless. In this world, even those with no new transformations or powers can still hurt the heroes, they just gotta be smart. And that's one thing Naruto does better than most other series. Frankly, if you could put me in a chair and just start asking me to debate Naruto and Dragon Ball, I could sit here all day and do it. But I don't suppose I should go on longer than I have. So look up to the moon of the Infinite Tsukuyomi and allow me to tell you a story about a far-off world on the edges of the Naruto universe. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. Naruto sat there and took in the nature energy. He was meditating, breathing in deep, holding it for a moment, and then letting it all back out. He did this in multiple controlled cycles to help him focus. This wasn't too far removed from Monkey Sage Mode. The way that the chakra was stored and absorbed was very different, but the way of controlling it was almost exactly the same. Naruto continued to hear within his head over and over his father's voice telling him not to be too greedy, and to remember to only take what he could use and what he could carry in balance. Balance was the crucial thing that separated sages from thieves. He was also slightly radiating his own chakra. Sometimes he felt bad about taking energy from other living beings through Sage Mode. When he was but a small bald macaw, he told his father these things, and his father told him the truth. The world is filled with living beings, and taking even a little bit of their radiated power would fill you up. You take nothing directly from them, but only what they're willing to give. They lose nothing that they weren't already trying to expend. And even if you were taking directly from them, the sage chakra you take in can never be destroyed. It's only transformed. Once you use it, that chakra returns to nature in another form to be reabsorbed by life and return to the natural state with which it formed. Naruto came to realize that this was the cycle of energy. Creatures like himself took that energy in and expended it. But that didn't destroy the energy, because energy could never be destroyed. It only transformed. It was one of the basic laws of thermodynamics. There was no waste. This often brought Naruto to a question. If energy could neither be created nor destroyed, then where did it come from in the first place? All the energy in the universe had to have existed in some form, right? Naruto felt his chakra slipping into disorder. His mind had lost focus on the task at hand. Call it one of the pitfalls of ADHD. Naruto returned to the task and continued to train. "Look, he's done it," Sasuke said. Jiraiya raised a hand to calm him down. Jiraiya drew closer, examining the markings. "Wow, and he did it even better than me. I can't even enter this mode without becoming a toad, and yet all he's done is limit the changes to his eyes and the surrounding area. That's near perfect control. Where did you learn this?" Jiraiya asked. "From my father. He taught me everything he knew." "Your father must have been a very skilled sage," Jiraiya said. He stood and helped Naruto stand as well. "Let's go speak with the great toad sage, Gamamaru." Naruto and Sasuke followed after Jiraiya to the great toad sage. "Oh, have you finished with your training already?" Gamamaru asked. Naruto nodded. Gamamaru then snapped his fingers and the sage brought forth the flask. "Drink of this vessel. In doing so, you will learn how to make toad oil, which can increase the potency of your fire-style jutsu." Naruto took the flask and funneled his chakra into it, only for the chakra to fill with a blue liquid that glowed, not too unlike the imagined look of chakra in its most raw form. But this time it smelled like oil, like that of a fish. Naruto almost didn't want to drink it for fear of its taste, but he knew that he had to if he wished to save his father. Naruto would drink the liquid, choking out a gag reflex. He would return the flask carefully to the sages. Gamamaru clapped his hands excitedly. "Wonderful! Now it's time for you to continue your journey if you wish to stop the Sage of Heavens, yes?" Gamamaru presented Naruto a map. That should help you find the next sage location, Shikotsu Forest. I hear that their way of doing Sage Mode is very different than ours. Naruto took the map and offered a slight bow of respect. Thank you, Great Toad Sage. I will always remember your kindness. If you ever need anything, just know that you can count on me. Gamamaru smiled. Actually, I do have something for you to do. Naruto looked up. What is it? Gamamaru turned to look at Jiraiya. This one here has never been off the mountain before. He was left here for us by his parents at a very young age, and he's quite sheltered. He's never seen the world beyond. I have chosen him to be my successor as the Great Toad Sage, but I cannot confidently pass the title to him until he has more experience with the world beyond this mountain. If you would, take him with you and I will consider our debt squared. Naruto smiled. If he's willing to follow us, I'd never say no to a new friend. Gamamaru clapped once more. Good, then it's settled. He will follow you on your journey and learn many wonderful things about the world beyond. And then, when he does, he'll return here and tell me everything he found. And with that, they left Mount Myoboku. They began to follow the path according to the map. Walking along the trees to the forest, they felt almost as if their sizes were decreasing. The trees were getting larger and taller. But despite this, a soft yellow light from the sun illuminated their way, pushing down through the semi-translucent leaves of the forest, which took that yellow light and gave it a slight green tint. As they walked, Sasuke was certain that they were being watched. Activating his Sharingan, his eyes glowed as he looked through the trees for any sign that someone was there. For a moment, he thought he saw someone jumping through the trees. Be careful, someone's watching us, I think. They would follow the trail deeper until they reached the heart of the forest. There they found a small settlement for slugs. They walked in and saw slugs of all shapes and sizes. The place was beautiful and covered in ribbons and the most beautiful designs of them all. A slug then met them. She asked what it was they were doing there. I'm here to speak with the Great Slug Sage, if that's okay. It's very important that we do so, as the Great Sage of Heavens has awakened and is threatening the world. The slug would seem a little upset by these tidings and would lead the group in to find the Slug Sage. It was a woman of large stature, with blonde hair and a face that seemed to take no crap from anyone. May I present to you Lady Tsunade, the Great Sage of Slugs? The woman sat forward. Well, look what the slug brought in. Snips and snails and puppy dog tails. It's been a long time since I've laid eyes upon boys like this. Her eyes would travel to Jiraiya, where she would smile and wink, causing the Toad Sage to blush. Naruto would greet her as a Macaw Sage from the village hidden in the treetops. He would begin to explain to her his plight. As they did so, Sasuke noticed another human nearby, a girl with pink hair and a red kippah. Hey, you're the one that was watching us, Sasuke said, pointing at her, having interrupted the conversation. The girl's expression turned red as she ran behind the throne of the sage. Tsunade would notice this and look to Sasuke. This is Sakura, my disciple, the only one in this forest with the strength to take my place as Slug Sage. Are you sure she's strong? She hid behind your throne, Sasuke said. Tsunade laughed. Strength is measured in many different ways, young man of the Iron Fan clan. Tsunade would turn around and gently whisper to Sakura, asking her the matter. Sakura would whisper back to her, causing Tsunade to laugh. She would turn around. So, tell me, little Macaw Sage, for what reason have you come to this forest? I came in hopes of learning from your people the techniques of your specific Sage Mode. Tsunade listened with a nod. That sounds fair. Fine, we'll teach you. Sakura, the girl stood before the throne. Yes, Lady Tsunade? I want you to teach them, Tsunade said. Sakura seemed shocked. Me? But I can barely do it myself. Tsunade smiled. You know far more than you give yourself credit for. I trust you above all else to teach them. Now, hop to it. Sakura nodded. She turned around and motioned for them to follow her to a small area where she would begin their training. Naruto alone would sit down. Sakura looked at Sasuke. Will you not join him? She asked. Sasuke shook his head. Sage Mode isn't really my thing. We need to learn it fast anyway. This is all Naruto. Sakura almost seemed disappointed by this. She shook it off and knelt down. The basics of Slug Sage Mode are simple. Do you know how when you need to enter Sage Mode that you must charge up your natural energy without moving? Naruto nodded. Yeah, it's hard to channel nature energy when moving, and it becomes dangerous too. Our Sage Mode provides some workarounds, she said. Our Sage Mode can be used with nature energy or even basic energy. Well, if it's just basic chakra, it doesn't really count as Sage Mode, but the point stands. Basically, what you will do is take in nature energy as you normally would and then funnel it into an area of your body where you will create a new chakra well. She pushed her hair to the side. For myself and my master, we put this mark on our foreheads. Naruto nodded. Then I shall as well. This caused Sakura to smile. With this technique, you can store more Sage Chakra, so that should you ever run out in battle or need an extra kick of strength, you can just call upon it. We call this the Strength of 100 seal, because it gives one the strength of 100 sages. It takes some time to do, but it's not hard. How do I do it? Naruto asked. Sakura continued. Basically, what you need to do is sit here and meditate, drawing in nature energy. As a sage, I'm sure you already know how to do that. After you begin gathering that chakra up, begin envisioning that Sage Chakra mixing with your Yin Chakra and Yang Chakra. The finished product of that union, imagine it falling into a well of chakra. Now, imagine a canal being formed in that well that leads to another well, this time empty. Let that chakra begin to fill up in that area. Once it's finished, you'll develop the Strength of 100 seal, and if this second pool becomes full, you're even capable of creating another Strength of 100 seal elsewhere. So long as there are locations in your body to put a seal, you can continue to save more and more chakra. But beware, doing so will take longer, and only one of your seals can be activated at a time without causing damage to your internal organs. The volume will break the vessel, Sasuke said. Sakura smiled and nodded. Yes, and if you use too much power at once, your body will break under the pressure of it. Jiraiya was writing all these things down. Sakura then clapped her hands. And that's all. Use basic senjutsu techniques and then follow the instructions I've given you, and you'll find yourself using our form of Sage Mode in no time. Jiraiya finished writing all this down. He then looked up with a smile. Thank you, Miss Haruno. Now if you'll excuse me, I'd like to go explore this little sage area. You mean you want to go hang out with Tsunade? Sasuke said with a smirk. Jiraiya looked at him out of the corner of his eye. Master Gamamaru told me to go experience the world, and that's exactly what I plan on doing. He began to walk off. Sakura watched him and giggled a bit. Naruto then entered a meditative state. It's best we don't disturb him, Sakura said as she stood up and began to walk away. Sasuke followed her. They found a nice place to sit away from Naruto. So, Lady Tsunade seems very excited to see men. Sakura nodded. We don't often have visitors here. That means we never see people like you. The slugs here are all women, so sometimes we get a little excited when someone like you shows up. Wait. All the slugs here are women? Sasuke asked. Sakura nodded. They're hermaphrodites, which means that they don't need any other genders to reproduce. They're capable of reproducing alone, so they don't need males. Sakura laughs. I guess it can get kinda lonely around here because of that. It's nice to have some women around here, but sometimes I think about my future, and I think about how much I want to be... She trailed off. Sasuke sat forward. You want to be what? Sakura shook her head. Forget it. I want to talk about those pretty red eyes you used. What are those called? Oh, my Sharingan? He closed his eyes and activated them. Sakura gasped. They look like little lotuses. Sasuke nodded. They allow me to make things like this. A black flame appeared in his hands. That's what I call my Samadhi fire. It's a powerful hot flame, and it can never be put out no matter what, not even with water. Only I can will it to go out, either myself or someone with powers like mine. She smiled and pushed her hair to the side. It's very nice. He smiled as he looked at her. You think so? She nodded. I do. And at this moment, Sasuke felt his heart beating a little quicker. He felt like he'd been lured into her charm, but she felt all the same. Suddenly, without explanation, she leaned forward and kissed him. Sasuke was shocked by this. Suddenly, Sakura pulled back and stood. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that, she said in a slight panic as tears began to form in her eyes. Her face was bright red, and she seemed like she didn't know what to do. She turned around and ran off. Sasuke stuck his hand out to stop her, but missed. It's fine, Never mind. She was already gone. Sasuke sat there alone before laying back with a sigh. Elsewhere, Jiraiya was sitting by Tsunade, and the two were just talking. I assume you weren't born here, were you? Tsunade shook her head. No, much like you and Naruto, I come from the realm of humans. But when I was a little girl, I got lost in these woods and was taken in by the previous sage, Lady Katsuyu. She raised me like a mother and taught me everything I know, and when she retired, I took her place as the great sage. Jiraiya spoke. Sounds like a story similar to my own. Tsunade then spoke. I owe these slugs my life, and because of that, I will always endeavor to be worthy of the love they've showed me. Jiraiya nodded. My next question is where Sakura came from. Tsunade took a deep breath and sighed. Sakura is my daughter. Jiraiya was surprised. She is. Tsunade nodded. When I was young and rash, Lady Katsuyu asked me to train a shinobi, a man of the Hidden Leaf Village, a warrior named Dan. I did as instructed, but I quickly fell in love with him and he with me. Tsunade smiled. It was from that love that Sakura was born, but Dan was a shinobi. He left to complete his duties. He said he would return to us within a year. That was 14 years ago. I don't know if he was killed in battle or simply got cold feet about being a family man. Either way, I never saw him again, and Sakura never got to leave her father. Tsunade grit her teeth. To a point, that's why I hate men. Jiraiya was surprised. Wait, you hate men? Tsunade thought about it for a moment. No, I don't hate men, I just refuse to trust them. I understand Dan had his duties to his nations, but he also had a duty to Sakura, and he failed to complete that. I would love it if I never had to see another man again, but Sakura. Tsunade trailed off a bit. Jiraiya repositioned himself to listen better. Tsunade began to continue. I tried to warn Sakura of what men could do. I reminded her of the tale of Izanagi and Izanami, how Izanagi left his wife in a pit and sealed her away, simply because she had died and was no longer beautiful. I even tried to use her father as an excuse, but no matter what I tried, all she's ever wanted was to be loved. To have a boy see her as beautiful. To have a bond that goes beyond a mother and daughters. And though I wish she wouldn't, she continues anyway. And because I love my daughter, I'll support her decisions. That's why, when this is over with, I want you to take her with you. Jiraiya was surprised. What? Tsunade nodded. Sakura has a crush on the boy with the red eyes. Jiraiya was startled. She likes Sasuke? Tsunade nodded. She likes him a lot. And because I care for her, I will let her go off to experience the betrayal of men herself. One day she will return here brokenhearted, of that I'm sure. But I don't want her to ever say that I didn't give her a chance to find love. Jiraiya looked down solemnly. You know, not all men are monsters, right? Tsunade looked to him. Jiraiya looked down. Men are often uncontrollable. We can be rash, and we're ruled by our emotions and often our desires. But that doesn't mean we can't still be good. There are evil men out there who will take advantage of a woman and hurt her, will use her, say that they love her and then turn around and leave her. Demanding men, controlling men. But there are also men out there who mean what they say. Men who are willing to learn to try and be better for the woman they chose. Men who seek to do good and treat a woman with respect. Jiraiya looked up at Tsunade. Just because one man hurts your heart doesn't mean that all men will. And that doesn't doom Sakura to a life of being used and thrown away. I know Dan left you, but continue to have faith that there is someone out there who will choose you over everything else. Tsunade sat there silently for a moment. I hope you're right, Jiraiya. I hope that the kind of man you talk about actually does exist. And I hope that Sakura finds him. If she'd be happier away from me with someone like you've described, well, I would gladly let her go. I'll trust that this red boy is worthy of her. And just know that if he's not, I'll personally come and snap his neck. Jiraiya nodded. Duly noted. After this, Naruto would stand and come to the throne of the Slug Sage. I've completed my training, he said, displaying the mark on his forehead. Tsunade would smile. Good, you've done well. And for this, I offer you the chance to drink of the flask of soap style. They brought the flask to Naruto, who lifted it up and began to fill it with his own chakra. He took a deep breath and began to drink. Tsunade then pulled out a map. This is to Ryuchi Cave. With it, you will find the final of the 3 sages. She gave the map to Sakura. Take it with you on your journey. Sakura was shocked. What? Tsunade smiled and stood. She pulled Sakura into her embrace. Sakura, I know you search for things that can't be found here in Shikotsu Forest. I want you to know that I support you, and I hope that you can find the one who will be your love. Sakura shook her head. No, mother, I can't leave. Sakura came down to her knee. Sakura, I know you care for that boy down there. I don't want you to waste your life here wishing you had done something. This could be one of the most important choices you've ever made or will ever make, and I want you to ask yourself now, are you willing to let it slip by? Sakura began to tear up. I don't want to be used and hurt. Tsunade wiped her tears away. Love is a risk, Sakura. It's a gamble, and it seems that the game is always rigged against you. The house always wins, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't play. Win or lose, the game is worth playing, and there's a chance that you can hit the jackpot the next time you play the slots. I know your dreams, Sakura. I would hate to be the one who held you back. I know you're afraid, but try. Go try. Win or lose, when you come back here to tell me about it, I at least want you to hold your head high and say that you tried. Sakura nodded. Tsunade kissed her cheek. Now, go with them. Sakura walked off to go with the others. Tsunade then looked over. Oh, and Sasuke. Sasuke perked up. Yes, ma'am? Tsunade smiled. My daughter really likes you. If you ever hurt her, I will personally castrate you. Sasuke's pupils dilated and his face went pale. Yes, ma'am. Tsunade nodded, content with the answer. Now you may leave. And with that, the little group left the forest. Sakura would give the map to Naruto, who would begin to read it and change their direction toward the Ryuchi caves. As they walked, Sakura stuck close to Sasuke the entire time, who was still a bit scared about Tsunade. "You know mother was just kidding, right?" Sakura said. Sasuke smiled and nodded, but he wasn't so sure. They would pass into the caves as described on their map. These must be the caves. They would slowly walk in. Moving through the cave's labyrinth of different paths, they would eventually find where the snake sage was. There was a large throne, but nobody was on it. There was nobody nearby either. Naruto would call out, "Hello?" They would investigate the area. Sasuke would come to the throne. His butt desired to try the cushions so badly. "That doesn't seem like a good idea, Sasuke," Jiraiya said. Sasuke smiled. "What's the hurt in taking a little load off?" He sat down. It was indeed very comfortable. Sasuke smiled. "Hey, look, I'm the sage." Suddenly, clamps gripped around Sasuke's wrists, ankles, and head, holding him in place. A miniature boa constrictor appeared and wrapped around his neck. The group gasped. Suddenly, a man appeared from the shadows. "I see one of the whelps of the Iron Fan clan. The Uchiha have appeared to take my seat. Do you think yourself truly worthy to sit on that throne?" Sasuke would shake his head vigorously, if not for the clamp holding it straight. "No, sir, I don't think I'm worthy at all. I'm just a brash child." The man laughed. "Oh, but you must. If you didn't think you were worthy, then you wouldn't have sat down like that." "Who are you?" Naruto asked. The man looked over. "I am the great snake sage, Orochimaru." Orochimaru then turned to Sasuke. "You know, I've always wanted to add an Uchiha to the list of skins I can shed into." He would suddenly bite Sasuke's neck. Sasuke would cry out as a mark with 3 tomoe would appear on his neck. "That will mark you as my property. That's the price you pay if you wish to sit down upon my throne unworthily. Now, the rest of you, get out before I decide to take you as well." "We can't leave," Sakura said. "Not without Sasuke." "What can we do to get him back?" Naruto asked. Orochimaru thought about it. "The only way I'll forgive this is if he's proven worthy of sitting upon that throne. And the only way for a ruler to prove his strength is by the minions he commands. If you wish to have him back, you must fight me for his honor. If you win, I'll return him to you and even teach you my sage transformation. But if you fail, I'll keep him. And I'll eat you." Sakura gulped. She stepped forward. "I'll take that challenge." Naruto stepped forward. "Me as well." Jiraiya was last to step forward. "This is a mistake. We should just leave the boy behind," he said. But all the same, he stood ready to fight. Orochimaru smiled. "Fair. Then allow me to start." Orochimaru would bite the end of his finger before performing hand signs and touching the ground. Suddenly, from under him, a large snake appeared. "Manda, my minion, fight for your master and show them what it means to be a true snake sage." Naruto, Jiraiya, and Sakura kept close with each other. Suddenly, as the head came to strike them, Naruto jumped to the side. He activated Sage Mode to boost his power, as did Jiraiya and Sakura. "You two distract Manda. I'll face Orochimaru." The other two responded with, "Right." They both then closed in on Manda's face, where they would kick its eyes. The snake would pull back with a roar before chasing after them. Naruto would rush in and swing it down. Orochimaru lifted his hands and yielded to Naruto, and with that, Manda would disappear. True to his word, he let Sasuke go. Orochimaru then stood. "Impressive friends you have here, Uchiha. You should thank them for saving your life." Naruto stood. "Now, as for you teaching us the sage transformation." "Oh, I almost forgot about that." Orochimaru's head extended out like a snake and bit Naruto's neck. "There, you've been branded with the Sage Transformation. This Sage Mode takes the form of a transformation that passively takes in Sage energy, even when moving. You don't need to worry as much about balancing it out, as the Sage Transformation only allows so much energy in, and refuses to go beyond the balance." He then pulled out a map. "This map leads to the Toad Sages of Mount Myoboku. If what I've heard of the Sage of Heaven's return is true, you should take this with you." Naruto took the map and looked at it. "But we already went there." Orochimaru nodded. "Yes, you have. But I must give this to you anyway. There's a legend of one final Sage Mode that cannot be accessed or learned save from a flask. But that flask is hidden. However, it is said that when all paths come together, the last Sage Mode will be revealed." Orochimaru then presented the flask of poison style to Naruto, who drank of it. "Now, get out of my cave." Naruto and the group then left. Sakura hugged onto Sasuke. "I'm glad you're safe, Sasuke." Sasuke seemed a bit upset by it. He rubbed the back of his neck where he'd been bitten. He wondered if this meant that he could now use the Sage Transformation as well. "So, there's a last Sage Mode?" Jiraiya asked. "Yes, and we must find where all paths come together," Naruto said. "But What does that mean? Sakura asked. Sasuke asked to see the maps. Naruto handed them over. Sasuke pulled out a pen and sat all the maps down. See this here? This is the village hidden in the treetops. It's where the Maka sages live. And here is Mount Myoboku, Shikotsu Forest, and Ryuchi Cave. They almost make like a diamond pattern. If we connect them all to each other, we get a cross pattern in the middle. I'd bet anything that if we went to the center of that cross, we'd find the flask. Naruto nodded. It's better than nothing. Let's go! The group then began to move toward that location. Once they had made it there, they found a small shrine hidden in the middle of a dense rainforest. Entering therein, they discovered 4 patterns: a monkey, a slug, a toad, and a sage. There was an inscription: those who seek the path of the Sage of Six Paths must master those that came before. Naruto looked at the others. I think we need to activate Sage Mode to get the flask. And so each one began to use the specific Sage Mode they'd learned. Jiraiya used Toad, Sakura used Slug, Naruto used Maka, and Sasuke used Snake. When they did this, all the patterns began to glow, and a hidden box appeared from the shrine before them. They took the box and walked outside with it. Sasuke sat it down and began to open it. What is it? Naruto asked. It's a flask that says 6 paths on it. It's formed by mixing yin and yang release. Sasuke began to smile. Naruto smiled as well. Then I should drink of it. If I get the final Sage Mode, I'll be ready to face off against the Sage of Heavens. Sasuke stood with it, but slowly his smile faded. Give me the flask, Sasuke, Naruto said. He looked up at Naruto and the others. They looked at him curiously. What's wrong? Sakura asked. Sasuke looked down at the flask. It was... I had a lot of fun with you guys, but I can't. This flask, I was tasked with finding it and returning it to my father. Your father? Jiraiya asked. Sasuke nodded. The Sage of Heavens. The group was startled. That day that you found me, Naruto, I had tied myself to the tree. I knew you would find this, and I needed to be there when you did. I'm sorry. Naruto put his hand forward. Sasuke, please give me the flask. It doesn't have to be this way. Sasuke shook his head. You all may have been tools to me before, but I really had fun with you. And when you saved my life, well, I'm eternally grateful, but I have a duty to my father. I cannot deny it. Sakura stepped forward. You have a duty to us, to me. Sasuke looked at her. Sakura, I really do like you, but I can't forsake this. My father gave me life. I love him. I have to deliver this to him. But when he takes over the heavens, I'll tell him that it was only possible because of you, and he'll give you seats among the stars. And then, Sakura, then we can be together. You gotta let me do this. Naruto stepped forward with his staff. Sasuke, I can't let you take it. If you don't give it to me now, I'll have to kill you. Sasuke looked down. I wish it didn't have to come to this. He then lifted his eyes. Amaterasu, he shouted as he let loose a blast of his samadhi fire to put a barrier between them. He then ran off. Jiraiya sighed in disappointment. I kinda like that kid, even if he did slow us down sometimes. Jiraiya looked to Naruto. Well, what now? Naruto looked at the flames. We need to get to Thunder Mountain. It's where the Sage of Heavens is imprisoned. We need to get to Sasuke before he gets it to his father. And so they took the long way around the burning forest and ran in the direction of Thunder Mountain. It didn't take them long to make it, and as they did, they looked up and saw Sasuke headed for the summit. Sasuke, stop! Sasuke looked down at them. With another glare of his eyes, he set the whole mountaintop on fire. He then disappeared into a cave. Naruto and the others rushed to the mountain. How can we get through this fire? Sakura asked. He said nothing can put it out. Naruto looked back. My staff absorbs chakra and jutsu. It should be able to do it. Naruto began to swing his staff around using wind style. The wind style, imbued with the chakra-absorbing qualities of the staff, managed to separate the chakra from the samadhi fire, turning it into regular fire that was then put out by the wind. They then made their way up the mountain until they reached the summit as well. They entered the cave and followed a path down into the heart of it. When they reached the bottom, they found a castle hewn out of stone. They entered and followed Sasuke to the throne room. Passing through the door, they saw him standing there, but he appeared to be a normal man. It should be no surprise, as he was the father of Sasuke. Ah, you're the Maka my son has told me so much about. You don't quite look like a monkey, but welcome all the same. The man stood. My name is Fugaku, and in the ages of the Sage of Six Paths, I was named the Sage of Heaven, the most loyal follower of Indra Otsutsuki, sealed away by Ashura himself. And now, with this power, I am free. Naruto stepped forward. Give us back the flask, Sage, and I won't kill you. Fugaku stood there silent for a moment before bursting out in a laugh. This is pathetic. He took the flask and would drink from it. Suddenly, his ruby-red Sharingan, much like the one Sasuke had, would evolve into ringed eyes of lavender color. This is the power of the Sage of Six Paths. It's incredible. I truly am worthy now to be called he who stands above even the heavens. Fugaku stepped forward. Now, allow me to show you my true strength. Fugaku summoned his Susanoo, which took the form of a blue humanoid creature with the head of an ox. It began to rush at Naruto and the others. Naruto dodged out of the way. Sasuke would join the fray with his purple Susanoo, also possessing horns on the brow. Finally, Makoto, the queen of the Iron Fan clan, joined the fight with her red Susanoo. The three rampaged with their gigantic avatars. Naruto would attempt to stack all the Sage Modes he possessed at the same time. He would weave hand signs and summon a massive wood golem. This wood golem would clash with Fugaku and Sasuke, who would try to burn it with some hottie fire, but Naruto would blow the fire away with a blast of wind from his staff. Jiraiya would also manage to help out by summoning Gamabunta to help in battle against Makoto and Sasuke. All the while, Sakura on the edges of the battle would sneak around to the back where she'd find the ruined pieces of the flask. She would summon a small part of Katsuyu to help her. Using slime, Sakura would begin piecing together the flask. The battle raged on behind her, which almost broke her concentration. Katsuyu would then look up at Sakura. "Don't worry, Sakura, I believe in you." Sakura would nod and continue. Naruto would find himself pushed all the way back by the might of Sasuke and Fugaku together. He would hit the wall. He would look over and see Sakura standing there with the flask. Fugaku would see this as well and would command Sasuke to get Sakura and take the flask from her. Sasuke's Susanoo would come after her. She would bob and weave, trying to avoid its hand. "Sakura, wait, it doesn't have to be like this. We can still be together. Just give me the flask." She would use her strength of 100 mark to strike out at the hand of his Susanoo, shattering it. Sasuke pulled back with a bit of a startled look on his face. "No, Sasuke, I could never love someone who would enslave others. I know you. Deep in your heart, you know what your father wants to do is wrong. I know you love him, but he's dangerous and he'll destroy the world. I won't stand by and let it happen." She turned and began to run toward Naruto again. Naruto's wood golem reached out to grab her, but Fugaku's Susanoo saw her and reached out, trying to grab her as well, only for Fugaku's Susanoo hand to be grabbed by Sasuke's. "Traitor!" Fugaku called out. Sasuke held him there for a moment. "Dad, please stop." Fugaku looked at him. "Stop. Now. After 1,000 years in prison, you want me to stop?" Sasuke nodded. "Dad, I don't want to rule the heavens. I don't want to enslave Earth. I just want a normal family." Fugaku would growl before absorbing the power of Sasuke's Susanoo. "You want to betray the one who gave you life? Fine. Maybe I'll just take it back." He would form a spear with his Susanoo and throw it at Sasuke, piercing his chest. Sasuke would hit the ground and roll. Sakura saw this. "Sasuke!" She handed Naruto the flask and then turned back and began to run toward him. Naruto took the flask, filled it with his chakra, and then drank the contents. Suddenly, he felt a power rush through him as his body began to glow gold. He would then jump from the wood golem and utilize his 6 paths Kunitsukami. This giant golden avatar then attempted to face off against Fugaku. Fugaku would turn around and grab Makoto's Susanoo as well, draining every ounce of her chakra until she died. He did this to bolster his own power. He then jumped away from Naruto. "Storm release! Laser circus!" As the multitude of thunderbolts passed through the air at Naruto, Naruto dodged as many as he could, blocking others. All the while, Sakura found Sasuke laying there. She cradled him in her arms as she summoned Katsuyu to help her heal him. He lay there. "Sakura, I'm sorry. I didn't know what to pick. I loved you, but I loved my father too. How could I be forced to choose between my 2 greatest loves?" Sakura shook her head. "It's okay, Sasuke, it's okay. Just stay with me, you're going to be okay." Naruto would rush in with his Kunitsukami. The avatar would clash with the Susanoo. Naruto would jump from his Kunitsukami with his staff and plunge it into the forehead of the Susanoo to create a gap. He would then summon Truthseeker orbs and flood the Susanoo with them. He caused them to detonate, blowing it to pieces. Naruto would land on the ground near Fugaku. He looked back at Sasuke and then to Makoto. What kind of man would throw his family away for his own benefit? Fugaku snarled. "Ask Sasuke." Naruto's face twisted in anger. He summoned the King of Hell behind Fugaku. The beast opened its mouth and a tongue reached out to grab him. It would pull him in before vanishing. It would then return to the ground, banishing Fugaku's soul to Naraka, the hellish place of torment. With the battle over, Naruto ran over to Sasuke to see him. Sasuke looked up. "I guess I really screwed this up, huh?" Sasuke said as he was bleeding out. Sakura looked up. "I can't stop the bleeding, Naruto." She said this with tears in her eyes. Sasuke looked down at his wound. "Maybe it's better this way. I chose my side, now it's way too late. For what it's worth, Naruto, I really did enjoy being your friend." He would point to a door. "If you go through there, you'll find your macaw friends." Sasuke then looked at Sakura. "And for what it's worth, I really did love you." Sasuke smiled for a moment before wiping a tear from Sakura's eyes. His head then fell to her chest as his arms went limp. Sakura began to wail. Naruto found himself shedding tears as well. He came to Sasuke's side. "No, I won't lose a friend." He put his hand on Sasuke's chest and used his 6 paths creation of all things technique to heal his wounds and restore him to health. Suddenly, Sasuke's eyes shot open and he gasped for air. Sakura saw this, and suddenly her tears of sorrow turned to tears of joy. She held him close. Naruto smiled as he stood. Jiraiya pat Naruto on the shoulder. "It looks like I'm gonna have a lot to tell the great Toad Sage when I return." Naruto smiled. He then took up his staff and walked down the hall Sasuke had pointed him to. There, he would walk in to find his father Enma and his guards imprisoned. Naruto would break the lock and open the door. Enma would walk out and hug his son. "Naruto, is the battle over?" Naruto nodded. "Yes, father, it is. I won." After this, Naruto would return to the Macaw village, where he would officially take on the role of Monkey King. His tale would be immortalized as a legendary tale of the Monkey King, his friends, and their journey to defeat the evil Sage of Heavens. Jiraiya would also return to Mount Myoboku, where he would tell the great Toad Sage of his exploits and what he learned. This would cause the Toad Sage to recognize how much Jiraiya had grown, and he would name him the next Toad Sage. Jiraiya would oftentimes visit Shikotsu Forest, where he and Tsunade would develop a relationship. As for Sakura and Sasuke, the two would eventually marry. The road wasn't easy, but true love endures, and they had discovered that with each other. In the end, the world was returned to peace. During his tenure as the Monkey King, Naruto would open up the borders of the village hidden in the treetops to Konoha. There, he would begin to teach them Sage Mode, believing that humans were not by nature selfish, but could learn to be selfless. After all, the words of Satsujin, even coming from such an evil tiger, were true. The macaws did not have a monopoly on natural energy. Nature belonged to everyone, and it wasn't the macaw people's job to refuse to teach anyone, but instead to show them that they could teach others to wield this power with selflessness. And because of this, the people of Konoha saw Naruto as a true hero, just as he was seen everywhere else. But I guess that's enough for today's story. I absolutely enjoyed this one. I loved making it and telling my own version of Journey to the West, but with the characters of Naruto. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did. Journey to the West is a classic of Chinese literature in the same way that Moby Dick or Treasure Island is to American and English culture. I thought it would be fun to retell this story, and I want to know what you thought about it. Did you enjoy it? If so, please tell me about it in the comments below. And if you have any other ideas, feel free to drop by www.amagipublishing.com to give us more ideas to work with. We absolutely love to hear from you. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when more content like this drops. And if you just can't wait for that content, fear not. We have plenty of other videos for you to watch, such as those on the screen. These are some real classics, man. Anyway, enjoy the videos, and until next time, peace out.